Welcome back to Cross Politic, y'all. With us in the studio today, we got Jason Elmore.
Well, not in the studio.
Oh, well, but he's with us.
He's with us.
In spirit and technology.
Yeah, technology.
By the power of God.
Yeah.
Jason Elmore in the house via Skype or something.
Yeah.
Toby doesn't know.
There's a voice.
Yeah,
just preach that word, Pastor. We'll worry about the technology. Don't worry about it.
Jason, if you don't know Jason, he's well known for his passion and creative genius for selling and teaching. He has an uncanny ability to identify, articulate, and transfer key selling insights leading to success across various business platforms and products.
Ooh.
Hey, ooh and all over that. Jason has built a career of consistent top sales performance for 2 decades. Jason has been a sales award winner, President's Club winner, sales manager, sales trainer.
Wow.
He has experience in B2B, small startup med device, and the world's largest medical device and pharmaceutical companies. Oh, my goodness.
He's got a trophy room, doesn't he?
Keep it going.
He's a native of Washington, Pennsylvania. Jason holds a BS in marketing management from Grove City College, in addition to wearing multiple hats on the job and consulting on the side. Jason stays extremely busy holding leadership positions in his church, serving in the school board.
He's a Christian.
While farming his land. He's a farmer.
What?
No.
He resides outside Indianapolis, Indiana, currently with his wife and 9 children.
Amen.
Wow.
Hey.
Amen. He beat David. He beat Chuck Knox on this one. Welcome,
9
Jason.
kids, Jason?
Jason,
Well, you up? Yeah.
thank you for being on the show with us.
Praise God.
My pleasure. This is a thrill.
Hey, Jason.
As Dennis Prager says, with 9 kids, you cannot be an atheist Democratic operative, right? Everybody knows you can't. There's no way that's going to happen.
You're all in. You're all in.
Hey, Jason, tell me, are those 9 kids baptized? I just want to know. Just for me. Just for me. Are they baptized?
They're all baptized.
Look at you.
Look
Jason,
at you.
Me and you just became real close friends, brother. May the Lord God bless you
Right
real
on.
good, man.
Now, Jason,
Right on.
you're the author of a book entitled Elite Execution, which just sounds dangerous. Can you please tell our listeners, what is this book all about?
Yeah, so this isn't a beginner's book. This is actually written straight to experienced salespeople, experienced sales professionals. There are other books for people who are just getting started in their sales career, but there aren't books written specifically to tenured, experienced salespeople who want to go to that next level, which frankly tend to be salespeople who actually read books, right? Most adults outside of Christian circles aren't reading a lot of books, and especially professional books. But if you want to sharpen the sword, if you want to go to the next level, if you want to get into executive level sales, there are some things you better know. There are some things that you better be practicing. And so the subtitle is Disciplines and Insights for Extraordinary Salespeople. So these are people that are starting to, punch the ceiling, and they're trying to break into the top 10%. And they're wanting to know, I'm really close. How do I get into that, that top tier? This is for them. There's a couple things there, though. I mean, this is for what I call cocksure people. So that kind of rubs people the wrong way. But you got to remember, sales is about eating rejection every day, right? So you have to be unusually and almost surreal in your ability to overcome.
I thought that was just pastors.
Right. Well, there's something to that, right? So if you're going to succeed in this area, you're typically going to be calling on people who are superior to you in every way. In my line of work, I'm in med tech.
Yeah.
So I'm calling on a surgeon who usually is older than me, has more letters behind his name, more education, makes more money, has more authority, all those things. And yet, in a winsome way, I have to come alongside that person and convince them that this is the way to go. And so that's kind of what's different at the executive level.
Interesting. Yeah.
Is you're calling on some pretty astute people. You're walking into the C-suite, right? You're walking in to talk to the CEO or the CFO. It's different. And so where do you get the confidence to go in and talk to those guys? Well, you better know your stuff, and you better have some insights, because if you're doing your job the right way at this level, you're teaching people. And Toby probably identifies with that because he's constantly provoking people to think differently about what they're currently doing. Or he's teaching them something. And when you start to teach people and you start to provoke new thoughts about a reality that doesn't exist yet and a new way to do things, you're gonna run into some opposition. You're gonna take it on the chin.
So Jason, I was vice president of sales at a company for a number of years, and I read a number of sales books. In fact, that was kind of one of the ways that they encouraged us to grow. They had a budget for us to buy these books, stuff like that, and they all kind of were saying the same thing with some different adverbs here and there and adjectives here and there. What is distinct beyond it? This kind of trying to be for more advanced salespeople. What's distinct about elite execution?
Well, for one, I can guarantee you none of those sales books talked about forgiveness.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Now, listen, we believe in all of Christ for all of life, right? Yes. And so we appreciate this concept of forgiveness. But how many business people do you know in the last 12 months have asked one of their customers or somebody at work for forgiveness? They didn't apologize. Apologies are different. Apologies are passive. Hey, Gabe, I'm really sorry. Yeah. But hey, buddy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
Well, it's passive. It doesn't require anything on the part of your customer.
Right.
If you go to them and you say, look, we screwed up. We messed this up. This didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Will you forgive me?
Wow.
Okay, that's different. That requires something active on the part. And here's the problem is in business, we do offend people. We do make mistakes. We do have to, fix broken relationships because things don't go perfectly. And a lot of people, especially salespeople, think that they apologized and they fixed it. Now they can't figure out why they're not being treated the same way and things aren't happening and the process is stagnant and everything's bogged down. And what they don't realize is it's the same in your business life as in your personal life. You need forgiveness, or that person isn't letting it go. They're stewing over it. And every time you come into that business, they see you and there's just negativity.
So give me an example of what that looks like in your life and what you've done in the business world. Two things here real quick. I want a real example. I'm going to give you some time to think about it. Secondly, when you do that with an unbeliever in the business world, what do they think? Is that odd? I mean,
they won't let you. Yeah,
they won't let you.
They're not. Listen, they're so unaccustomed to it. So I'll give you this just happened, right? This happened 3 months ago. Had a surgeon put a case on, wanted to use my product. Long story short, we screwed up. We didn't show up. Okay, flat out. We failed to show up.
Yeah.
Walked in the door 45 minutes late. Case was already over. It was, it was done. It was lost. Walked in, went to the surgery director, and she happened to be sitting. So I had to get down on a knee to look her in the eye and ask her if she would forgive me. It was completely my fault. I own it. There's no excuse. We just blew it. Will you forgive me? And she had never, to your point, had never had that response from anybody or never had that come from anybody.
Wow.
And she said, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. And I said, no, it's not okay. We blew it. Will you forgive me?
And she started screaming and said, get away from me, you weirdo.
No, actually they love it and it deepens our relationship and it gives us it gives us that reset that we need.
Yeah.
But they're so unaccustomed to it that they'll try to deflect it because emotionally,
that's right,
they're not used to operating on that level.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's real.
It's real. Like, what is this feeling I have in my heart? It's starting to beat all of a sudden.
But think about this. We have this verse in the Bible that says a brother offended is harder to win than the iron bars on a city wall, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that doesn't apply at work?
Of course it does. Come on now.
Yeah.
Of course it does. So if we're in business and I go to business executives or I go to salespeople who, every time you walk into this account, it's like being at your in-laws. You're welcome, kind of. You're the sales rep. But so there are plenty of times when we step on people's toes, we accidentally say the wrong thing, we don't realize it, and they're not really interested in telling us. But if you want to have a healthy business relationship in a whole host of arenas, you better be asking somebody to forgive you at least twice a year. If you look back and you haven't asked anybody to forgive you twice in the past year,
wow.
I guarantee you somebody's holding it against you and you don't know it.
Yeah.
Jason, I just got to
So,
tell you.
Gabe, have you read that in any of your other books?
No. Hey, you sold me on that alone. Yeah, absolutely.
No, actually, this is one of the things I was going to say right away. There's 4 sections in this book. In the first section, I started repenting. As soon as I got through it, now I got to give you my story to how I got into this book. So Gabe says, "Hey, check it out, read it. We're having them on the show." I'm like, "Oh, cool, business. That's great. I like business. I own a business. Let me check it out." Oh, I have to pay for it because somebody didn't send us a free copy so we can read. All right. No, I'll do it. No, I won't. I'm gonna go ahead and get the sample version. I'm gonna get the sample version off of Amazon, and then I'm gonna just look at the contents and say and just ask some questions based off that. So I'm shaving my beautiful bald head, and
beautiful bald head.
I'm letting Amazon read to me your book, and it stopped in the middle of the first section. And I freaked out and almost cut my head. Because I was like, no, where's the rest of it? And so I'm throwing my razor around on the counter, trying to hurry up and purchase the book so I don't miss, like it's a show that I can't catch up on, you know?
Right.
And it was that good that I couldn't stop. And I got to, the first part of this, the first section of it really had me repenting because one of the first things you do is you ask, what is a professional? Right?
Right.
And that's I want to get into that in a second, but another thing you started really presenting is being valuable to your customers. And the first thing that hit me was loving your neighbor. And I was thinking like, wait, hold on. We're always talking about believing in the product, pushing something that we love, but is what we have valuable to them? And man, you just nailed that whole position about making sure that being yourself valuable to them.
Yeah.
And a professional. So go ahead and define for everybody what a professional is.
Thank you. Well, there's this idea that you must know why things happen. Everybody can tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody can tell you that there was a car crash down on the corner, and everybody can tell you that the water's leaking on the floor. Everybody can tell you what happened, but a professional understands it so well that they can take the variables in a given situation, they can manipulate those variables so that they can replicate the outcome. That's huge, especially in sales. If you're successful this year, but you don't know why, then you will not be successful the next year. And worse, the company will copy what you're doing and it'll injure the company because nobody really understands it. So you have to be able to manipulate the variables. You have to replicate the outcomes. And then this is critical. You have to be able to articulate what you're doing and why it works so that you can transfer it to other people. I was in sales training, and I would invite our top 10 sales reps to come to my classes and speak to the new hires because that's what they wanted more than anything was to hear somebody who was doing it, hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And what they wanted to know was, how do I be successful? So I would invite these guys to come, and I would say, hey, so just out of curiosity, you're in the top 10, you're doing great. So what are the 3 things that are making you successful? And every time I would get humble pie.
Yep.
Well, everybody.
It's luck, man.
I would
luck.
tell them. Right. Well, and so I would tell them, I would say, hey, look, I need an email from you with 3 paragraphs describing the 3 things that are making you successful, or I'm rescinding the invitation. Because if you can't articulate what's working, and if what's working isn't transferable, then you're going to demotivate my new hires.
Ooh. Yeah. Please don't show up.
Listen.
That's great.
You have to, you're at work, you're in the church, you're in the community, you're in your family, and you have to operate with a belief that everybody wants to do a good job. Everybody wants to be valuable to the people they are serving. And if you can't make them better, if you can't tell them how to be successful, if you can't tell them what works and why, then you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be valuable people. You're not going to be helpful.
And you're not loving your neighbor.
Good. Right. Yeah.
That's
so let's take this to the next level, right? If you're one of the things I contend all the time is that the new evangelism is excellence. Excellence is the new evangelism. We all have people in our family that if they weren't part of our family, we probably wouldn't associate with them because they're really not committed to excellence.
Don't do that, Jason.
No, but truly, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is we need Christians to recognize that if you're not really getting after it, if you're not really impressing the people at work, they really don't want to hear about your God.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Amen. You going to play him an organ?
Yeah, where is that?
Come
Where is
on,
that?
Chuck.
Come on.
Jason won't even be able to hear
He
it,
won't
though.
even hear it. In my heart's playing the organ.
Yeah,
that's
right.
for sure.
I can see the look on his face, Jason.
That
It was like he couldn't even get to the organ. He wanted
so
to.
Good.
Well, so we got about 2 minutes left, Jason, and I'll say one of the things in kind of the sales world, you have kind of these two paradigms. And this is definitely reducing things for sure, but you kind of have the car salesman paradigm, and then you have kind of the business executive paradigm, and they obviously they especially everyone kind of jumps up and down and says, I don't want to be the car salesman, right? But then we default to kind of this business executive paradigm where it's professional in all the wrong ways. It's all about the money. It's all about the late nights, being on the road, traveling, going to the conferences, all these things, and there's no substance behind it except for being able to hit your sales goals at the end of the year. Can you kind of talk through that?
If you honestly don't believe that what you're doing is making the world better, you need to go find something else to do.
Yeah.
Amen.
Preach.
Yeah.
Now, listen, so your commitment to excellence is based on this idea that I must succeed or the world isn't going to be a better place. Someday somebody's going to cure cancer. And the day they do that, they're going to have to hire me to figure out a way to convince a bunch of skeptical physicians and an unbelieving world that it's true.
Yeah.
What is the gospel but it's the truth that people are having a hard time believing that really a God loves me, gave his son, right? The gospel truth is hard for people and they're skeptical, and this is no different. If you really have something good that's really going to make the world a better place, that's got to be your motivation.
Yeah. Amen.
I just, Jason, thank you so much for being with us, man. I really think your book, I know you're focusing directly on the extraordinary salesperson, but man, this book is just for everybody.
That's real good.
Everybody really needs to grab this book. It has so many beautiful nuggets for you. And regardless of where you're at, if you're a stay-at-home mom, I mean, just some of the things you go through with the working out, what is your focus? What are the goals you want to accomplish? Yeah. How you get there? And then how to be a help even to your family, man. You really hit some major points in this book. Where can people buy it at?
They can go to my website, eliteexecutionsales.com, or they can get it on Amazon.
There we go. I got mine on Amazon after I read the free version. Hey, Jason, thank you very much for being with us. More Cross Politic when we come back.